next strategy. Can you guess what it might be?
Visualize.
Getting out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to say a quick word about Avram and my experience with him, and I'm going to let him come and lead him into our next strategy. This man is literally creating a movement of people moving outside of their comfort zones. He's challenging people all across the nation so that they can begin to face their fears. Did you notice in the beginning, Josh was scared, hesitant, and then afterward it was just this new man, right? And so I'm going to have Avram come up and share his experiences with you. He's an awesome dude. I think last year he created something where he was doing something different almost every day to get him outside of his comfort zone. And he's really mastering this art of getting himself into the unknown. So please help me welcome Avram Gonzales.
Awesome. Well, thanks, George. I appreciate the introduction and you having me here, and then having all you guys here to give me the opportunity to come talk about what I did last year. So, as George alluded to, last year I wanted to do something that would shake things up. I was coming from a place where I felt a lot of stagnation in my life. So has anybody felt that before? Any stagnation? You know, like George talked about, if you're not growing, you certainly don't feel good about yourself. So I decided I was going to do something crazy, and I was going to start Inspiraction. So that was my New Year's resolution for 2010. So what I did is I was going to do something brand new every single day that I have never done before, and film it, put it online, put it out there for everybody else to see. That was also something that was way out of my comfort zone. You know, didn't care about what my friends were going to think about it, didn't know how I was going to do it, just decided that that would help me never experience what I had experienced that summer before. All that stagnation, it just didn't make me feel really good. You know, so that was why I started Inspiraction. That's the whole reason behind it. I didn't want to have that anymore. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. As George talked about earlier, we're creatures of expansion. If we're not growing, we're stagnating, we're dying. And so everything within us needs to be pushing us out of our comfort zones and into areas where we can constantly grow. And so, how many times have you taken the same way home from work? Or how many times have you decided, Sabrina, to go to the same restaurant and eat the same exact thing every single time because you knew it was good? I mean, you know it's good, you know it tastes good, you know it's great, but at the same time, how is that allowing you to understand what could be better, you know, on that menu? Just something simple like that. You're not really allowing yourself to find what could actually make you happier. I guess you can boil it down to that. So, you know, I thought, what better way to do it than to really just jump out there and take it head on. So I put together over 250 videos last year, documenting what I was doing, and I guess I inspired a few people along the way. That wasn't what I initially thought of, and that's what the Inspiraction Challenge grew out of. You know, I wanted to have other people experience what I had gone through last year and the tremendous change. And sure, it wasn't like sunshine lollipops the entire time. There was some more hard stuff. You know, there was a little bit more stagnation. I think I met with George back in October, and I was going through a tough time. You know, I had to remind myself about what I needed to be doing, and George helped me kind of get out of that funkified moment. And so, a couple of things that I did last year that really pushed it for me. I delivered my first eulogy. I was given the opportunity to do that, and when I first got it, I was like, whoa. You know, what am I doing this year? Yes, I need to do this. This is something, you know, when I felt it inside of me, pulling me, when I felt so scared to do it, I knew that there was tremendous growth waiting for me. You know, it's totally proportionate. If you feel that much fear, you know that there's that much growth and that much to be gained by just breaking through it. So a couple of other things that I did, I pitched my business to a group of angel investors here. I was second or third in line in my class to do it, and I just watched everybody get totally ripped apart. And at that point, I was like, what am I doing here? You know, you know, okay, well, let's go for it. And just like Josh, I think, I came out on the other side, and I was like, that was cool. I can't wait to do it again. And I would have never had that if I hadn't gone ahead and done it. Things did get kind of crazy last year, too. I found myself in moments and situations just really taking life by the horns, riding crocodiles, not quite literally, but one of the things I did is I got to the top of Gray's Peak, and I'd seen some people glissading down the mountain earlier that morning, sliding down their butts going 30 miles an hour. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that for sure. And I got to the top. My friends and I are looking down, and they were like, no way, man. Not going to happen. We'll see you at the bottom. And I was like, well, I'll see you at the bottom. And I took off running. And I just jumped down 600, 800 vertical feet, 2 minutes. One of the most exhilarating things that I've ever done. And I wouldn't have ever had that if I hadn't just jumped out there and did it. So, those are just a few of the things. And it was just all about just putting myself out there. It didn't matter what people thought. I found people that really hated what I was doing, but that was okay, because there were so many other people that were appreciating it, and I definitely knew that for me, it was good stuff. So changing gears a little bit, who's been to a foreign country? All right, Tom, how about you? Where have you been?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Awesome. That's cool. I've never been to Switzerland. I'd love to go. Has anybody been to Africa? Anywhere in Africa?
Going next month.
Where are you headed?
South Africa.
South Africa. What are you going to do there?
Play.
Play. Beautiful.
Game park and sites and that type of thing.
That'll be neat. I'm jealous of you right now. Does anybody else have any places they've been that they want to share?
Yeah, I traveled around Central America for 6 months with myself.
Cool. That's awesome.
I didn't want to come home. It was worse culture shock coming home.
Yeah.
It was going down.
I know. I think I know what you mean. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what kind of perspective or insight did you bring back with you?
Just like slow down a lot in life. Like down there, people, I just feel like they're more focused on their families, very relaxed. Like in Costa Rica, it's Pura Vida, pure life. They live like that. It's not just the quote.
Yeah.
Country. They live their lives like that, and so you come back. And I don't know. At some point, though, it's kind of sad when you see people that they're not doing that. So I kind of started with that.
Does anybody else have any places that Costa Rica's on my list, by the way? Does anybody else have some places they went and things that they brought back with them?
I was in the Dominican Republic last week, and you just get a sense of appreciation for what we really have here when you go to a third world country and you interact with some of the different functions that they do. And you talk to these locals that speak 8 languages that are making $300 a month salary, just doing tourist stuff, and what an appreciation that we have, that what really America really gives to us, that the freedom that other people really don't have out there. So it's
Pretty neat.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And I can see Jay definitely wanted to share. Portugal? What'd you bring back with you?
Fell in love with Portugal.
Yeah.
Just being the feeling of being surrounded by history so meticulous that you could sense the people that were walking the streets when Jesus walked his first pair of sandals. It was just phenomenal.
It was very neat. So thank you guys for sharing. With your permission, not that you really have a choice, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience. I got to go to South America recently. I went to Argentina. That's where I brought my cup back and all my tea. I was talking to some of you guys about that this morning.
What's next on my list?
Argentina, beautiful. Fell in love with the food, the women, very pretty girls down there. It was a good time. I actually met one myself. That was a little hard to get my ass to the airplane that morning, but didn't want to get stuck in a foreign country, although I think I would have gotten along just fine. But it seems like everybody has something very similar that they brought out of their experiences traveling abroad, or even if you're just here in the United States, we know that going down to the deep south or like Texas, like I was born in Texas, and things are just way different down there. We know that when we go to these different places and we're outside of what we're normally used to, there's this, even though everything else is different, from the moment that you wake up, like the bed that you're in, completely different than what you're used to, the people you're interacting with, the places that you get to go visit, and the people you hang out with, it's all different. But for whatever reason, that forces this interesting amount of introspection. You get to think and really reflect on what you might have here at home that you may take for granted, and beyond that, I think. When I came back, I had a lot of reflecting to do. I had a lot of reflecting when I was actually down there going through the experience. And so I think on top of having all that introspection, there was also the observation that the fact that you're so far out of what you're doing, you can leave everything else in your life behind. You know, I think it might be like a vacation kind of mentality too. But you leave all that shit behind. You leave it at home. The bills don't matter. The squabbles and feuds that you might have with friends, they're not there. That stuff's not present. So you really like gain a lot out of these experiences. So you know, you get the opportunity to see people taking it slow. You get to see how it's different than what you normally experience. And so for me, that always gets the gears turning. You know, I spent a lot of time going to Europe when I was young and just didn't have the, you know, I think it did some stuff with me, but I just didn't have the same way to reflect and observe what was going on when I was down there. And so you bring back that perspective, those extra values, and it makes you wonder, when these other cultures are so different, what's actually real about the way that I see things? You know, maybe it's not real. Maybe this isn't the best way to run my family. Maybe this isn't the path that I should be taking. Maybe I should be gaining some more appreciation for some of these things when I've just totally forgotten about it. So I think that leads me into what I want to talk about next, which is related to fear, what we've been talking about all day. It's this stuff that's not really real. You know, George talked about that we have these innate fears, this fear of falling, the fear of loud noises. I think that makes total sense to be born with that, but the rest of it is, like we're finding out today, totally manufactured.